You're listening to Faith, Stewardship, and Insurance, Protecting Texas Churches. The show that gives pastors and church leaders the clarity they need to protect their people, property, and ministry.
Welcome back to Faith, Stewardship, and Insurance, Protecting Texas Churches. I'm your host, Ron Wadley with Insurance for Texans. We help church leaders protect their people and property with wisdom and clarity. Today's episode is about why cheap church insurance isn't so cheap. If you saw the pictures coming out of Cedar Hill during the storm earlier this year, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Kingdom Culture Worship Center had just hit a season of growth. New community and momentum. The church's ministries were finally clicking. Then a winter storm rolled through North Texas. Ice and snow piled up on the roof. And physics did what physics always does. The roof collapsed. It crushed the sanctuary and the altar. It destroyed the church's sound system and musical instruments. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but the church's building was destroyed. If this same thing happened to your church, do you know if your church's insurance would actually pay the claim? Most churches assume the answer is yes. You pay the premium. You think the declarations page lists coverage for this, and someone told you that you're covered. But church insurance doesn't work that way. Not even close. In property insurance, the damage itself isn't the most important part. The cause of the damage is. And that's where cheap policies turn into financial landmines. A lot of churches who are trying to save money are placed into what's called a basic or named peril policy. It sounds fine, and it's definitely cheaper. But what that policy really says is this: the insurance company will only pay if the damage was caused by something on a very specific list. A basic named perils property policy covers fire, wind, or hail and lightning. What isn't included in that basic policy is the weight of ice and snow. So when a roof collapses under the weight of a winter storm, the insurance company doesn't react. They see an uncovered cause of loss and deny the claim, even though the building is in pieces. That's the moment a church realizes the policy they bought to save money didn't protect them at all. It gets even more complicated when you look at how insurance defines words we use casually. Take the word collapse. You and I look at a roof caved in and say, that collapsed. An insurance policy looks at collapse as a legal term with very specific requirements. Some policies only consider it a collapse if the building falls completely to the ground. If the roof sags, bows, cracks, or becomes unsafe but hasn't fully fallen, the carrier may argue it hasn't technically collapsed yet. And if collapse is excluded or tightly limited in your policy, that argument can kill a claim fast. Even when churches buy better policies, there's another trap waiting: wear and tear. This is where things get brutal, especially for older buildings. After a storm, the insurance company sends out an engineer. That engineer looks for any sign of pre-existing issues: old water damage, rot, aging materials. If they find it, the carrier can say the storm wasn't the real cause. They'll argue the building failed because it was worn out, not because of the ice. And since wear and tear is excluded on every policy, the claim gets denied. That's how churches end up uninsured for catastrophic losses, even though they did everything right and paid their premiums faithfully. This is why cheap Texas church insurance is rarely cheap. It lowers the bill today by shifting massive risk back onto the church tomorrow. The policy looks good until the moment you actually need it. The tragedy in Cedar Hill isn't just sad, it's a warning. It reminds us that church buildings are fragile and Texas weather doesn't care about budgets. And it reminds us that not all insurance is worth the paper that it is printed on. At Insurance for Texans, this is exactly why we talk about the promise of certainty. We don't just ask what your premium is. We look at the policy form, what causes of loss are covered, and help you to understand collapse language. We look at how older buildings are treated and places where an insurance company can walk away when things go wrong. True Texas Church. Insurance is about making sure your policy works in the real world, not just on a spreadsheet. At Insurance for Texans, we start with questions, not quotes. If your church doesn't know whether your property insurance is on a basic or special form, stop guessing. Connect with our church insurance agents at insurancefortexans.com. And if you want to understand church insurance in general, get a free copy of our book, The Promise of Certainty, at thepromiseofcertainty.com. I'm Ron Wadley, and this has been Faith, Stewardship, and Insurance Protecting Texas Churches. Remember, church insurance requires expertise.
Thanks for listening to Faith, Stewardship, and Insurance. Until next time, remember, insurance isn't just about policies. It's about safeguarding the mission God has called you to lead.